What's up, everybody? 9:30, a little later than our normal time, but I am really excited to jump in, just kind of hang out with everybody. I missed you guys. I missed hanging out, talking through this stuff, answering questions, breaking down the legal system. We are coming off a very interesting conversation with my dad on the Alec Murdaugh case, getting all of his thoughts as a former prosecutor in the federal and state jurisdictions. So check that out later. It's going to open up to everybody as soon as this video ends. So you guys can go be part of the rewatch crew, get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what questions you have. But I'm really excited to hang out with the even bigger group now because I missed this. I need this in my life. It's something that I've gotten used to, having you guys to discuss these things with, to flesh out any issues we have and questions we have. And somebody asked the question that's going to kind of spark us in to this discussion, which is Alec Murdaugh had an attorney, Harpootlian, who was a state senator in South Carolina, and nobody had an issue with that. But in this case, Alec Baldwin has a special prosecutor appointed to prosecute him. His lawyers file a motion, and what does she do? Is it a problem? And why is there a difference? That's basically the gist of what this video is going to be about. So if you guys haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to our page if you guys haven't. And again, we're talking about Instagram here. We're trying to get to 20,000 followers on Instagram, and we're getting close. We're right about 17,000. So if you guys don't follow us, go at Tragos Law. Give me a follow on Instagram. Check out our Chicago trip I took with my family for spring break. Get to know a little bit more of the personal side. We can hang out a little more on there and share some stories and pictures on Instagram as well. All right. So yes, it was Janice here who sparked the question that kind of transitioned us from one video to the next, from Murdaugh to Alec Baldwin, because there are some similarities and state legislators and politicians being involved in the legal process. And I will say, when we talk about politicians, love them, hate them, whatever it may be, they, a lot of times, are trained lawyers. A lot of them have tried cases, have been involved in the legal process. They understand how it goes, and they make the laws. So when people say, oh, you're just a lawyer complaining about what a jury did, you're just a lawyer complaining about what a judge did or what other lawyers do, well, a lot of lawyers are not just lawyers. A lot of lawyers are actually involved in the lawmaking process one way or another, either as lawyers on rules committees, as judges, as politicians. I mean, there's a lot of governors, presidents, senators, representatives that are lawyers. So when we see juries doing things, when we see judges doing things, when we see other lawyers doing things, it absolutely can affect the process if there is an issue, regardless of the outcome of an individual case. And when we look at this Alec Baldwin case specifically, I see some major issues that I have complained about on other cases. And anybody that's been following the channel for a while understands how I feel about Alec Baldwin and what he did in this situation and how he's kind of handled it from a PR standpoint and making those statements and giving those interviews and how that's going to end up working out for him. But the state needs to do their job. Same thing with Alec Murdaugh. Before, I don't really have any personal feelings about Alec Baldwin. I've liked some of his movies. I didn't like some of his movies. I don't know anything else about him, right? I think he should have checked the gun. I think I don't know anything about guns, and I would have checked the gun, but I'm not an expert, and I don't know that that's the legal standard, and I don't know that that's the duty. And that's going to be up to the lawyers and the experts to prove what the duty is, and did he breach that duty, and up for the jury to make that decision, okay? So regardless of his guilt or innocence, regardless of how you feel about him personally, same thing with Alec Murdaugh. I did not like him personally before the trial started. I still don't like him personally. But that didn't affect the way that we look at the case. And when we look at this case specifically, and we see how the prosecution is handling this case against Alec Baldwin, they're failing. And they're failing miserably. Let me explain how. First, they overcharged. They picked an enhancement, 5-year minimum mandatory. Right now, you're looking at 18 months, right? The involuntary manslaughter is up to 18 months. Almost nobody gets the max on a charge like that for their first offense in a situation like this. So even if he goes and loses, he's not going to prison for 18 months. He's probably getting probation, probably going to county jail for a couple months, probably serving it on the weekends, probably getting this is not a good name to invoke, and I'm not equating them, but Jeffrey Epstein, the first time he got, in legal trouble, he was like serving it on the weekend, still going to New York, still partying, still doing whatever he wanted after he got his first sentence. That's what it would look like. Nothing serious, nothing life-changing for Alec Baldwin. Now, listen, obviously life-changing if you're convicted of involuntary manslaughter of somebody in this situation. I'm not saying it like that. But he's not going to go to prison for the rest of his life or anything like that if he gets convicted here. Now, the gun enhancement would have made it 5 years minimum mandatory, which is a much bigger deal when you're as old as he is and you have a family that's as young as his family is. They overcharged him with a statute that wasn't even in place when this happened. And the defense team files a motion to get it thrown out, and the prosecutor just drops it. They're like, no. You're not going to fire me. I'm going to quit. That's what it felt like. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, why are they doing things like this when they clearly knew he had a high-powered defense team that was going to fight every single little thing they could, which is what lawyers should do, by the way. You shouldn't just say, oh, it was an old statute, 5-year minimum mandatory. Let's just go fight it at trial. It's like, no. If that statute is improper, then it needs to get thrown out now. And that's exactly what they did, because that's what good lawyers do. And we know the prosecution knew that they were good, high-powered lawyers because they said as much when they asked for a bigger budget to prosecute Alec Baldwin. And they knew it when they said it in all of their interviews in the press tour that they made before filing formal charges. So that was their first mistake, which we've already talked about on a video. But now, their second mistake. And again, we talked about this a little bit when Alec Baldwin's lawyers filed the motion to remove this special prosecutor because she was also a state legislator. She was a state politician. And they need that separation of powers. So why is it okay for Alec Murdaugh to have a state representative who's a lawyer represent him, but not the prosecutor special set to prosecute Alec Baldwin? Well, to start out, we never got a final answer from a judge. We never got an order. We never got a decision because once again, for the second time in the very, very early parts of this case, the preliminary hearing hasn't even happened until May, which we'll talk about that as well. The prosecutors have had to say, you're not going to fire me. I'm going to quit. And both times when they step down, they do it with some backhanded comment, like as if having high-priced attorneys is a bad thing. And as if having an attorneys fight for you zealously as a client is a bad thing. Last time they said, oh, they just want to get these billable hours, so we're just going to drop the 5-year minimum mandatory gun enhancement. And now, here's the quote from the special prosecutor and state legislator who stepped down. The best way I can ensure justice is served in this case is to step down so that the prosecution can focus on the evidence and the facts, which clearly show a complete disregard for basic safety protocols led to the death of Helena Hutchins. I will not allow questions about my serving as a legislator and prosecutor to cloud the real issue at hand. Well, you knew you were a state legislator before taking the appointment, and you took it anyway. So did you not care about justice at that point? And I'm being facetious, obviously, because I think she does care about justice. But if you were going to step away because they objected to your appointment, why take it in the first place? You have to know that's coming. Did you think they weren't going to care? Now, she may take it as a compliment. They don't want her on this case. But in reality, Alec Baldwin's been fighting the PR war from the jump. And this was a PR victory for him. That's 2-0 so far in the court of public opinion for Alec Baldwin. That's a tough look. That's a really, really tough look for the prosecution already in this case. Now, I think they have enough to charge him with this involuntary manslaughter, so I get that. I think the gun enhancement actually fit the facts, but it wasn't even It wasn't retroactively applying. And you have to know that as a lawyer. Once a new law comes in place, some of them are retroactive. So they go back and they apply to everything for as long as time. But other things start from that day forward. And you have to know that as a lawyer before you charge. That's something that goes into the analysis as a prosecutor. Just as much as picking a special prosecutor and appointing them and getting them appointed, you have to know, what are the issues going to be? Are they going to get recused? And why is this so important? Why is it so important that she's recused at this point, a couple months into the job? Well, if you remember back when they asked for a bigger budget, they got about half of it. They got $300-something thousand added to the budget to prosecute Alec Baldwin. So now they have wasted at least a portion of that budget on a special prosecutor who is now no longer working on the case. They have literally lit that money on fire. Now that she stepped down, she cannot be involved. She can't help them. She can't aid in this prosecution. Now, will she? I'll say no, but would we ever know? Who the heck knows? But she can't be involved now that she stepped down, especially after the objection was made, and she didn't even wait for the judge to order. So they've wasted that money on her, and now they're going to have to pay whoever the new special prosecutor is that's appointed in this case. They're going to have to catch up, and they're going to have to get ready, because in less than 3 months or 3 months-ish in May, that's where we're going to have the preliminary hearing. Who's going to handle the preliminary hearing? Who's going to do the heavy lifting? Who's going to present the evidence? Will Alec Baldwin testify? Because the defense could potentially put him on the stand if they wanted to. Who's going to do all that? Because now somebody's going to have to work around the clock to catch up and get prepared for that preliminary hearing. Or are they going to have to continue it? And if they do, my guess is Baldwin's lawyers are going to object. They probably already agreed to continue it out, but it is just not great. It's not great. And why is it different between Harpootlian and this special prosecutor? Well, Harpootlian had nothing to do with the charges coming down, nothing to do with the budget. Nobody discussed anything with him. This special prosecutor did know a lot of that information. And while she recused herself and stepped out when they talked about the budget, she is there. She is friends and colleagues and working with all these people. She's made decisions and comments on things like this in the past. And it directly affects the job she's going to be doing. Harpootlian's on the other side. He doesn't control anything that the prosecutors are doing, anything that the state is doing in this case. So it's a major difference. And it's Alec Murdaugh's choice if he wants to hire somebody that is also working for the state. That's something that he can waive and he can choose, but not in Alec Baldwin's situation. That's why it's difficult, and that's why it's different. Janet asked, prosecution has a political bias against Baldwin. Your thoughts? I have no idea. I don't know what Alec Baldwin's politics are. I think that this special prosecutor was a Republican politically. So I guess that means Baldwin's probably a Democrat, I would guess. There's a gun issue, and the Republican is cracking down on gun safety, but I guess that's not the same thing as cracking down on guns. I don't know. I think anything can be spun into a political issue. The point being, I don't think this was a good move appointing her at all. TLL Tallman, welcome, and Amy Bates, a couple new members that'll be here for our April members only video and some other fun stuff we have planned for the members. Sherry, I'm in New Mexico, and if what I believe about our judicial system here, if this goes to trial, he won't do time. But that wouldn't really be special treatment or unusual to him. I will just tell you, most of the situation, I think it would go the other way. If he did go to prison, I think it's because of who he is and because of the attention on this case, because I don't think I'd have any clients that would lose this situation and then end up in prison. Now, sometimes you do get punished for going to trial. That's a whole separate situation. Nicole, wasn't the victim's husband on production crew as well? I don't think that was the case, but now he's involved in the case. Now he is involved in, not the case, sorry. Now after the settlement, he's involved in the movie and he's getting proceeds from the movie. This is wild that this movie is shooting again and beginning production again. It's just so wild. Janice, awesome that my question was used to start this off for all. Love this chat. So Janice, this is just a great example of how the chat drives the discussion. The chat drives the content. I haven't looked recently. I think the chat is what's winning. But you all drive the content. You all are what makes it interesting. You all provide the transitions here as well. John, how bad does the state look after all the attorneys dropping off to the jurors? Do they know? The jurors probably will never know. And a lot of times prosecutors will be shuffled in and out in a case, and it doesn't really matter. But publicly stepping down after the defense objects is not a good look. And I don't think the juries will see it, but if they did, they would not like it. Mandy Strong, how do I follow on Instagram? What is your handle? So, Mandy, I'm going to have to hide this comment in order to show you Tragos Law, at Tragos Law. My last name, Tragos, and then Law. I think if you search lawyer, you know I pop up as well. But the handle is actually Tragos Law. Dana, real guns should never be allowed on movie sets, special effects. Since they hired an armorer, an actor should be able to rely on that expertise. So I 100% agree with you on the first point. What's the point? Do we really need this realistic of entertainment? Are we not enjoying a very real looking gun that's actually fake and can't shoot a real bullet or can't even shoot a blank, and we add that stuff afterwards? Paul Walker was CGI'd into a screen where I basically was crying at the end of a movie after he passed away and didn't even exist anymore. They were able to pull that off. I'm pretty sure we can handle it without real guns. Like, come on. I agree with you. We can't be like the old Roman days in the Colosseum where we enjoy this stuff for sport. You know, I mean, I think we gotta crack down on that. Now, the second part, that would be your opinion, and that would be your vote right now as a juror. I think, because you're in this chat and I've seen a lot of your comments and questions, that if they provided experts at trial, you would weigh the credibility of the experts and see which expert actually made more sense and you believed more as to what the duty is. Because I think an expert could convince you and a lawyer could convince you that that's actually not how it works, that the actor does have the duty. And if the state presented that evidence that the actor always has the duty, if they grab a gun to check it, then maybe that could change your mind. But as you sit here now, it seems like your vote would be not guilty based on what you know. Stephanie Scott, welcome. John O'Reilly, how does Alec ever get around "I never pulled the trigger" statement? Is there apportionment of liability in criminal cases? No, it's either guilty or not guilty. And he can stick by the "I didn't pull the trigger." I don't think there's a video of him actually pulling the trigger. I could be wrong about that because I don't know if the camera was rolling. But I know that the state's experts are going to say it's impossible for the gun to be fired without him pulling the trigger. And I would be shocked if Alec Baldwin did not take the stand in this case. Therefore, what do we have? We have what we have in almost every trial. The jury weighing credibility of witnesses, credibility of evidence. Who do I believe? Why? And how am I going to make my decision? If they say, I believe that state expert, I believe he had a duty, I believe he had to pull the trigger, I believe he's lying on the stand, guilty. But if Baldwin takes stand, they're like, you know what? I believe him. I don't think he ever pulled that trigger. I think the gun malfunctioned. I think this was not his fault at all. Not guilty. And it's going to be up to a jury. That's why we have juries. Welcome, Mary. Rob, what's up, man? Baldwin is using speedy trial clock like a pro strategically. His attorney has been unrelenting in preserving that right. Prosecutors know the clock prior to and when beginning charges, unforced error. And they waited for these charges. And again, that's the issue with this prosecutor stepping down, is how long has she been working on it? How much are they going to have to take and spend for somebody else to catch up? And will they be able to catch up? Now, it's interesting, the speedy trial situation. I'd have to look up what it is in this jurisdiction, because they obviously waited and waived a speedy preliminary hearing, which is similar to Koberger, because I think this preliminary hearing is outside the time period, but I've got to look at all the deadlines and stuff. But you can still reserve your right to a speedy trial and continue the preliminary hearing. Those are two different things. Crazy Cat Queen, how bad am I that I refused a call from Hubs because I was watching you and your dad live earlier? It's all right. Just tell them you were learning. Tell them you were in class. No, I'm just kidding. Never lie to your husband or your wife. John O'Rourke, does the HAT PC stand for probable cause lost of? That would be cool. It does now, John. Thank you for just giving everybody the acronym on my hat. Dr. Scrolls, I have no opinion on his guilt, but I saw Glenn Ross, and I think he's a hustler. Probably guilty. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know either. And I want to just kind of see how it goes. Netwoman says, maybe they can hire an expert and have them sit in their office and play with the gun and see how many times the trigger goes off. I think that is a great idea. I don't think they should point it at a person, but just go like this a bunch and see, which way does this go? Yeah, no, just kidding. That's not how it actually works. And I guarantee Alec Baldwin's lawyers would not allow that to happen. Now, stuff was happening pretty quick in that Murdoch trial, but still wild. Lori Lynn, Peter, I thought you were on vacation. I was. I got back tonight. And what did I do? We're hanging out. And I'm going to work tomorrow. Okay, so Julia said they waived the speedy preliminary hearing by a week or two scheduling conflict. Right, but that's still, they can still keep their speedy trial intact. Absolutely. Enjoying the recaps and chats as well as learning a lot. I think you meant learning a lot as well as leading a lot. Am I leading? Am I asking leading questions? I could be. I have a tendency to do that, you know. Jesse Sue, I haven't been following this case much, but just wanted to tell you that we missed our nightly dates. LOL. Hope your vacay was awesome. And you found snow. We did. Lots of snow. It was really fun. Now, it wasn't like piles and piles or inches, but it snowed a lot. We walked through it a ton. It was so much fun. My kids loved it. Enjoyed seeing the pictures and the girls matching sweaters. Yes. And Jesse Sue saw all that on Instagram. All right. No. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Probable cause is never gonna be my name. This is just the hat. It actually stands for Palma Sia, is a golf course here. I want that job playing with a gun. Brenda said. Just Aaron, my daughter is Florida bound tomorrow. Glad to know a lawyer there. Yes, if she ever needs anything, give me a call. Give me a call. For those of you that are new, I'm a real plaintiff's personal injury lawyer, practice some criminal defense. Our firm does criminal defense. I don't do much of any of it anymore. But any injury cases, accidents, trip and falls, wrongful death, call us. We'd love to help you. We get a lot of clients from YouTube. We get a lot of people that we help even in other states or connecting them with people that can help. So give us a call if you need it. Tragoslaw.com is our website. You can get all of our information there and see that I am in fact a real lawyer, even though I don't look like one at night here. And also thank you, Steph, for my shirt. This is from a subscriber. May the course be with you. Rob, I figured you'd like this shirt as well, and you'd need the course to be with you. Ashley, off topic. How are you feeling about Baker Mayfield? You know, I have so many group chats with Florida State, with the Buck stuff, just my buddies, when we all make fun of each other when our teams make dumb moves. So I got some people making fun of me about it as if it was my decision, but I will always go back to Baker Mayfield, circle around him, doing the dance at Oklahoma. And I just say we're kindred spirits. I think he's a pistol. I think he's got a fiery personality. Maybe it'll work to win some games. Who knows? It seems like the Bucks have a lot of people on 1-year deals, Levante David, things like that. We're going to try this year and then maybe move on and kind of rebuild after that. So I think Baker's fine to give us that shot in the arm and see what happens, seeing if we can catch, what is it, magic in a bottle? No, that's not what it is. Catch something in a bottle. Mary Malarkey, oh no, did I miss Dad weighing in on the Murdaugh trial? Yes, you missed the live, but we are going to open it up to everybody to watch on the Rewatch crew right when this video ends. Tiffany Bernier, props to Netwoman on that super chat, having an expert throwing a gun around. This chat is funny. I love getting the inside jokes. And we build, right? We build. We bring in kind of some new people every trial, and we build from the old trials we've watched. Johnny Depp, Daryl Brooks, the popcorn trial, Edgecombe, whatever, Ronnie O'Neal. We've watched so many trials together. Murdoch is going to add a lot. Lightning in a bottle, Pierre. You guys know I'm the worst with these one-liners, but thank you. The chat's always here for me. Law and Lumber. Might be helpful to clarify destructive testing. Still a lot of misunderstanding from comments I've been seeing lately. Yeah, I know, but like that is not the way to do it. You have to explain the process. You have to explain the method. It has to actually be a tested method that's peer reviewed and not just like my own method that I made up and it tells me the answers I need to get. So I mean, we could talk about that another time, but it was just such a outlandish example that actually happened in a trial, which is so wild to think about. And we will always have that. Jesse Sue, also just curious how many stress balls you own watching old videos today. Well, I have owned many because I break so many of them. Sorry. Azam. What's up, Azam? I didn't think you were going to be able to make it, so I'm glad you were able to make it before we signed off here. A couple more questions, and then I'm going to take off for the night. Tina, headed to Hilton Head in May. I'll never look at Palmetto Bank the same. Freaky. That is interesting. These other parties that get kind of drive-bys. I can't even remember. What was the liquor store that's being sued in the Paul Murdoch case, but a lot of people were saying that as well. They'll never go there to that bar or that liquor store again without thinking that. Hey Peter, is your name short for Panagiotis? Panagiotis? My sister married a Greek, and that's my nephew's name, but we call him Peter. No, mine was Panayoti. That was mine. Panayoti was my Greek name when I go take Greek communion. I always wanted it to be Petros. I don't know why, because that's also Peter. And one of my friends was named Peter, and his was Petros, and it was just easier to say when I was a kid, but mine was Panayoti. Oh, is that Panayoti? Is that how you spell Panayoti now that I'm looking at it? I think that's how you spell Panayoti. I don't speak Greek. I'm a disappointment and a failure in my family. I didn't go to Greek school, which I blame my parents for. I had friends that went to Greek school, but now that I'm reading this, I think that could spell Panayoti, which is really funny that I'm saying no, it's not. But my name's Panayoti, so that was fun, EJ. All right, let's see here. Yes, people are saying that is me. Yeah. Can't blame Big George. I blame Big George, and he would know. He can speak Greek. And Pete Sardis is like as Greek as they get, our other partner. All right. Yeah, Broom 2 said same in the same boat, Greek American. My parents never put me in Greek school. It's more like American Greek, right? We're more American Greeks. My parents are Greek Americans. It could also be Peter in chat. Yeah, I like that even more. I did, Kayla. I did. We had a great time relaxing in Chicago. It was really fun. It was relaxing, but we also did a ton of stuff and saw a ton of sites because my wife and kids had never been there. It was awesome. Hopefully, you guys followed along on Instagram and were able to see the pictures of some of the stuff that we did. At Tragos Law is the handle on Instagram if you want to check that out. All right. I'm tired. This was fun. 2 lives. Go check out. If you didn't see my dad's take on the Alec Murdoch case, go check that out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Got a little spicy there for a little bit, but please check it out. I love Greek food too, Suzanne. It's one of my favorite foods, but I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to do another video tomorrow at some point, probably tomorrow afternoon. Get a couple more lives in this week just to, get the itch, to scratch the itch, because I've missed you guys and I've missed doing these lives. I know we posted some static videos, as I call them, static videos. But we're going to get some more lives in before the weekend is done. It's Valspar. So I think I'm going to go to Valspar. Rob, fly in. Come to Valspar with me. I'll get you a ticket. All right, everybody. If you're going to be at Valspar, let me know on Instagram or on Twitter at Tragos Law. Let me know if you're at Valspar and where you're at. Maybe we'll see each other. I think I'm going to go Friday. All right, everybody. Take it easy.